Shalom and welcome to Ask Rabbi Yom Tov here from Jerusalem. This particular episode is, it's now Monday. I think it's June 29th, I think. Yeah, is tomorrow the first of a new month or it's the 30th? I don't know. So anyway, June 29th. And we're going to start with Alicia's question. Alicia's online. If you're on Facebook Live, please send your questions. And I'm just letting everybody know that I'm starting a new webinar, which is a completely new thing that a lot of my graduates, I have 9,000 graduates from the Possible Use Seminar. And they've always asked me, like, when are you making another seminar? And so I'm doing it. And it's starting... it's supposed to start next week, actually. It's called Desire, Capture the Fire. Yeah, Desire, Capture the Fire, and it's basically how to harness your will, harness the power of will, and that should be an amazing experience. And it's kind of like next level. So Possible You graduates should definitely get over there. And I don't know if Zoom can handle 9,000 people, but anyway, I'm hoping you're going to sign up. It's every Sunday. We called it, this is part of a series called Sundays with Yom Tov, and the first one is a seminar called Desire, and it's going to be 4 weeks straight, Sundays. I don't know how much it costs, but I think it's like $149 for the 4 sessions. It's 8 hours of work. Let me make a bracha, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol nivra. Ooh, that's good. Okay, let's get started. Alicia, what's your question?
So my first question is about the education system in the kind of yeshivish and Haredi world. I guess in Eretz Yisrael and in outside of Eretz Yisrael, it's going to be a little bit different. But they have here in America, they have these kind of yeshivas for people who are off the derech or they're kind of at risk. And I'm wondering, if we should really start having those type of programs for kids who are in elementary who don't fit into the box and the system is not really working for them. So I just wanted to ask you about, the system, how it is today, and if you have any thoughts about that.
Okay, I like that question. I think that's an important question. And the question is, do we have to wait till they're falling through the holes of our education system before we start taking care of them? So, the education system in general is generally undermanned, underfunded, under everything. It's under, and that's the way it is in general. And what happens is that like anything, you got to cater it to the biggest population you can. And it's got this extra catch, and that is that it's the education systems are full of informational material. There's intellectual property that's being conveyed, and because of that, so now we put it all together, underfunded, yeah, understaffed usually. But underfunded, you put that together with intellectual property, and so we only have enough for one, so we're going to have to hit the most people as possible. And what happens when you go for the most people as possible is you go for people who like intellectual property is who you're ultimately speaking to. Now, how many people like intellectual property? If you had 100 people, how many would like intellectual property? So first of all, you have men and women, because boys and girls are in the school system. So, whoa. Thank you. So intellectual property is less interesting for women. That's a statistical fact. It's less interesting for women, so they're already out. Also, then when you have human beings, you always break them down into 3 parts. There's intellectuals, interpersonals, and then instinctuals, and meaning more physical. And of those three, intellect and interpersonal and instinctual, the breakdown is that the fewest amount of people are intellectuals, meaning who just like ideas. The next is people who like people, interpersonals. That's about a 50-50, about a 45-45 split between interpersonals and instinctuals. So, for example, I would say you're more interpersonal, Alicia, than Chesky. And Chesky's a little more instinctual than you are. And people who just like ideas are, I don't know, I'd say both of you are probably equally interested in ideas, but that's not your main priority in life. So what happens is the educational system, because it's going to be giving over intellectual property, it's going to be focusing on this really small percentage of people. And but what do you do if you don't have the manpower? Now, here's the option. Here's my idea. I mean, is drop the intellectuals. Drop the intellectuals and do a much more interpersonal and instinctual education for the whole education system. And what will happen is the intellectuals are going to find it by themselves anyway. And you can also have extracurricular classes that they're going to attend, that they'll more naturally tend towards. Go ahead and give them that. They can go do that. They'll have what to do with themselves. But as far as watching out for those kids, it's usually the answer is really the parents. Parents, for probably 80% of kids in an education system, when your kid gets home, that's when you do what's called damage control. And when your kids get home, that's where you start to, really honor and promote and develop their creativity and then things have to land right in the pocket, because as parents, our job is to really be on the pulse of how our kids interact, whether it be intellect, interpersonal, or instinctual, and then we have to work with them via their actual USB cable interface. So then that's what's appropriate there, is just to interact via that interface. Okay, next question. Alicia, I can still go with your questions. By the way, those the few people there on Facebook, feel free to send in a question, and I'll be happy to answer it.
Okay, I have another question.
Yeah.
So this one, with everything going on in the world today, it's very interesting that it seems like our best friends are kind of the Christians, who have historically not been really our friends. And I'm just wondering what our attitude should be towards them.
What should our attitude be towards these Christians? So, I mean, it's definitely a hajdehu vechabdehu situation. I don't know if you know those terms, but regarding our attitude towards Christians, hey, Paul Cartner is watching. Feel free to send questions, guys. I miss you too, Paul. Feel free to send questions on Facebook, and Paul, I'd love to hear your questions. So normally, when it comes to Jewish people, you have a basic rule is when you meet a stranger, chabdehu v'chajdehu. Chabdehum is the word kavod, and chajdehu is the word choshed. So regarding chabdehu, that means that you honor him as if he's 100% trustworthy. Chajdehu, don't do anything stupid. Okay? Don't do anything stupid. I'm in my music studio, Paul, by the way. My son is a music engineer, so I'm in here. But I've turned this into my studio for all my work now since Corona. So you get that? You get that? So now with Gentiles, it's chajdehu v'chabdehu. First, wonder what the agenda is, then honor him. With a Jew, chabdeu, first honor that he's trustworthy. Expect him to be trustworthy. Hajdeo means don't give him your bank codes, like your bank passwords before you get to know the guy a bit. Let him prove himself worthy of more sensitive information in your life. They gotta earn that trust, and whereas Gentiles you can start with chashdehu. Chashdehu means to first be leery, and then honor them. So when Christians are being our good friends, to wonder what the agenda is, what are they after really, and it's probably some narrative. There's probably some Christian narrative that has them being nice to Jews, because as you said, they have a long history of not being so nice, and so so then there's that obvious question is, why are they being so nice when what's in it for them to be so nice? So, like, for example, let's say in the Middle East, how Christians interact with Jews in the Middle East is, Christians have a lot of property here in the Holy Land, lots and lots, way more than any of you realize. There are churches and monasteries like everywhere, massive tracts of land, none of which, according to Jewish law, are able to be owned by them. Quite the opposite; those lands are not available to them. But guess who else is in the land? Muslims, and many of them are radical, and Muslims do not like Christians, not even a little. And so because they have the Muslims and the Muslims are not very moderate compared to the Jews, so Muslims will be happy to burn down churches and stuff and remove access or make the area too dangerous for Christian pilgrims to join and be part of. So a good example of that is Bethlehem. Bethlehem is it's got a lot of Christian real estate that would be on the pilgrimage cycle, but it's not safe there for them. And they've even had major incidents. You can Google or YouTube, actual standoffs where they're going to be lynched in their monasteries. So for that reason, you see already that it would be good for the Christians to be friends with the Israelis, because that's protective for the Christians to be friends with the Israelis, and so there's a lot in it for them. So that's chajdehu, is what's their agenda. The agenda is, to protect their holdings here in Israel and keep a foot in the door for their tourists and pilgrims and whatnot, and that's really important before you have any, before you honor them. You got to know who you're dealing with and what this is all about. What's this friendship all of a sudden after, there's a hell of a lot more Christian blood. Sorry, there's a hell of a lot more Jewish blood on the hands of Christians than Muslims. Yeah, our history is much worse with Christianity than Islam. Islam, there's been blood spilled with Islam, but it's nothing compared to Christianity. And so our job is to be really aware of the agenda in all our dealings with them. Okay, and then I have a question here coming in from Paul Carpenter. I'm not sure where he is in this day and age, but I'm kind of wondering where he is. So he asked, "What is the biggest problem facing the Jews in today's world?" And he said specifically in North America. I imagine he would include Canada in that group. So what's the biggest problem facing them? I would say, that's a pretty tough question to be asking me. I would say the biggest problem facing the Jews in North America is, I think it's their lack of mobility to, a Jew in exile is supposed to be, pretty footloose. You don't want to have your foundations too deep. You need to be able to get out. If necessary, you need to be able to get out. And I think my sense is that that probably the biggest problem underneath it all is that people couldn't leave if they wanted to. You know, maybe maybe young marrieds could leave, but I think that's basically it. I think another thing is they're addicted to the materialism. I think that's another big one. People are used to the creature comforts. You know, they want to be able to drive their big SUV into Costco and load up in one-stop shop in there and get in, get out, and so I think there's a lot of creature comforts that they're used to. So I think that's a big one. I think that probably left-wing kind of millennial liberalism is something. If I can ask the gang on Zoom to keep your cameras on, I'd appreciate that. So Yoeli and whoever's on the Galaxy S9, if you could have your cameras on, it'd make this much more pleasurable than just talking into your the words on your phone. I'd appreciate it if you could turn on your cameras. That'd be great. Anyway, I think that the left-wing millennial, meaninglessness, kind of atheistic style of things out there is, I think that's also a major problem facing the Americans today. I think a lot of Jews probably, at least the non-observant Jews, probably believe in those quote-unquote values. I call it quote-unquote values because when you let things go meaningless, values are the first thing to go. Meaning that they're just, you lose your whole the whole moral contract ultimately. It all becomes quite subjective. And so I think that's a big problem facing them. I think the modern Orthodox are probably apologetic to those schools of thought. And the only people you're going to find who are not apologetic are going to be the people who are more in the Black Hatitude community. And but then you're back to the first part, is they're so entrenched there in the society that the majority of them couldn't get out if they wanted to, and there's no way out, really, and which is why they talk about Mashiach so much, those guys, because it's like, they know they can't get out, they're stuck there, and they're either gonna go down with it, or they're gonna be, or they're, the wishful thinking is that, Mashiach will come and he's gonna take them out of there. But that's all expecting that you don't have to have merit to get out. Because, if you're someone of merit, so you would have left on your own. You would have you'd have done the math and just gotten out of there a long time ago. So expecting that in the Messianic era that God's gonna just say, "Oh, yeah, you want to play dumb for 70, I don't know how long ago the war was now, it's 45, so it's about 75 years. You want to play dumb for 75 years? And then we're supposed to have mercy." I don't see the world working that way. I don't see my home, one of my kids wants to act like an idiot, he's going to pay for that. I'm not going to be so merciful. If he wants to turn a blind eye on what's the responsible thing to do, and now we're all leaving on it. We're all going down to the park to play Frisbee and have a picnic. He's not coming. He's just simply not coming. We're not going to bring him. He'll stay in the house by himself. A kid decides he's not going to do basic math on responsible life. So now people might contest me and say that who says they're being irresponsible? And but I would refer them to the Tanakh and to Chazal, who in non-Messianic times were very, very clear about their relationship to Eretz Yisrael, and were either there in Eretz Yisrael, or they were moving there, or they were stuck outside, but trying to get there, like the Rambam, who's buried in Tiberia when he finally made it there, and or the Yosef Karo, and all the great Acharonim who made it there, the Rishonim who made it to Eretz Yisrael. And one of our sages, there's a Tana who, or was that an Amar, I don't remember, who, when he came to Eretz Yisrael, he fasted some 80-something fasts just to forget the Torah he learned in Babylon, in exile. Because he didn't want the Torah, the same Torah, but the Torah he learned in exile, he didn't want it to taint his Torah that he learns in Israel. So he did all these fasts to forget all the Torah he learned out there. And there is a Tana that holds that anyone who does the mitzvahs outside of Israel is only practicing till he gets back, that there are no mitzvahs outside of Israel. So it doesn't mean you're allowed to break Shabbat. You have to keep Shabbat, but you're practicing to have Shabbat in Israel. So anyway, all you have to do is look at our sages and look into the Torah to know that you belong here. So I think it's wishful thinking to think you're coming to the park to play frisbee, when you're gonna just turn a blind eye, and then you have you have to be willfully blind. I mean, there's one thing being blind because you were raised there, but you have to be willfully blind to follow the modern state of Israel's history and see the miracles that took place in 1948, the Yom Kippur War, 67, on the sixth Sphira, which is on the sixth week, which is Yesod, on the try that third time, on the sixth day, which is Yesod, of the sixth week of the counting of the Omer, which is Yesod should be Yesod, we had a 6-day war where, without even barely lifting a finger, we doubled the territory. We got back to Temple Mount. We got our east-west borders to the Jordan River, and it ushered in an entire Baal Tshuva wave that lasted till probably 2005 at least. A massive wave of Baalei Tshuva who got the calling back towards Judaism. So you want to ignore that? You want to ignore all that stuff? There's miracles here, and every time in Israel, what did one of the prime ministers say? I think it was Ben Gurion, who was not much of a observant Jew, but he said, or maybe it was Peres, I forget. It was anyone who lives in Israel and doesn't believe in miracles is not a realist. Okay, let's see if there are more questions on Facebook before I come back to Alicia. Oh yeah, Paul's saying there's a movie called Hollywoodism, which is, makes it sound like a religion, Hollywoodism, which is how the Jews made Hollywood and how it was stolen from them during the McCarthy era. Okay, that sounds interesting. Okay, let's see if there are any questions. Okay, we're good with those questions. Someone wants the Zoom link. Anyway, Alicia, you have the Zoom link by any chance?
I'm not sure how to get that to you exactly.
Yeah, I myself don't know how to get it right now. Okay, Chesky, you have the Zoom link, or you'd have to. Are you on a phone? Maybe you can go out of just.
I have it on my email.
So if
I can send you it I can send you a WhatsApp.
That won't be helpful. You can tell it to me if you go to the email. Someone wants it.
It's not a number.
It's a link.
Regular link.
Never mind. So Ivan, you're gonna have to get it another time, please. I don't know it by heart. Just getting.
Okay. Yeah. It's 857.
Here comes the Zoom link. 1 sec. I'll type it in.
85. Yeah.
Hold on, I'll type it in. Just getting some water. Okay. Yeah, 857.
843.
Mm-hmm.
85149.
That is really hard to remember. 149. Okay. We got it. Thank you, Alicia. Hey, wow. Arnya has joined us. Arn, you got to put on your camera. I got to see your face. Give me that face. Okay, Alicia, what's your next question?
Yeah, so the next question.
I don't know what that was.
Okay. But yes, so the next question is about the Jewish community's involvement in the government and politics. There are times, especially in areas that have lots of Jews, where Jews they want to for their rights or for things to go on, but what happens is oftentimes even if they have good arguments, it makes anti-Semites very angry and gets them really riled up. And I'm just wondering,
meaning the Jews, when Jews are getting their own representation for their own needs in government.
Right.
It gets the Gentiles riled up.
Yeah. So the question is, should we be, trying to push for schools and for different programs and things like that, or is it better to be quiet and realize, look, this isn't really our home. Let's not stir the boat.
That is a great question. So I think the answer is to yes, take advantage of your rights in a country that allows you to get certain benefits. Meaning, if the country is allowing those benefits, if your country is allowing those benefits, then to get those rights. However, you have to be very sensitive not to overdo it. Meaning there have been areas that have basically over the years knocked out all Gentiles from their municipality, and then they just go to town getting those rights because who's going to stop them? It's all Jews all the way up to sometimes the mayor of the municipality or whoever is the head of the municipality. So and oftentimes observant Jews and with big requirements educationally and whatnot, and so that is so that is a time bomb. If you're taking too much advantage, you're on the verge of Chil Hashem at any given time, and if there is a Chil Hashem like that, then there's going to be hell to pay for that. So far, I haven't seen big prices paid for Jews getting caught. Where Aaron lives in Brooklyn, the Jews run the show entirely there, in that area of Brooklyn, and including all the government positions, etc. And so the once in a while it hits the fan and it gets a bunch of people really angry. But because America's more or less, or at least it has been till now, not such a violent place, and people have more or less an orderly way of expressing their anguish and jealousy or resentment. It's been somewhat safe for Jews to take a lot of advantage of of what is available to them in America, but it's hard to believe that they'll get away with that, too much, and today in modern media, things get exposed real quick. So some of those places have weird stuff going on, they've exposed community leaders of sexual offenses against children, and it's that stuff just hits the media like wildfire. Now that person's going to hell in a handbasket, and he's never getting out of there, and anyone who enabled him, covered up for him, or did anything that would promote such a thing is going to they will inherit Gehenna for God knows, maybe eternity. I mean, they probably lose their portion in the world to come. Such people, and so yes, Jews, no matter how powerful Jews become in any particular community, hey, there's Paul. And no matter how powerful Jews become in any community, they have to be on their best behavior, and they also have to take advantage of services commensurate with the with their population, and or even not commensurate with their population. If they are the population, they have to be careful not to create Chilul Hashem. Now, notice I didn't say not to create resentment, because if you spent your whole life jumping through circus hoops trying not to make Gentiles resentful of your Jewish community, good luck with that. I mean, the Ace of Seinei Yisrael, Halachi, it's forever. Their hatred of us is forever. The Westerners' hatred of the Jews. That's never going away. But at least don't create, don't let it hit the news at, prime time. It should definitely not be on the news, whatever moves you're making, to take advantage of the, a liberal, and more socialist programs that Jewish communities can take advantage of. Good question, though, as usual. Okay, let's keep those questions going. Paul, what are you smoking in that little vape pipe of yours?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We hear you very strong and clear.
Oh wow, you can actually hear me talking, right? Oh, I thought I had to push a button.
No.
This is
the button's on your vape pipe.
You're funny. No, this is actually just nicotine. Although this, which is empty, and this, which is empty, and this, which is empty, used to be THC. Anyway.
Used to be.
Used to be. But listen.
It's a little more expensive than the nicotine version. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Not really.
Okay, questions.
So
Let's stick with
the same. Well, questions.
I want to hear Ivan's question. Ivan just looks like such a sweet man. And Ari, you must have a question for us. Okay, Ari.
It takes a second to mute myself. I don't want to ask how you're doing. That's it.
I'm done. Oh my gosh, how I'm doing? Like, on which minute would you like to know about? Like right now? Right now I'm doing great, but there's certain personality types that get to have a roller coaster ride every single day, and I'm one of them. So
Pop.
Pop. So it depends what hour, really. On my inner game, super strong, super powerful, but so I'm doing excellent on that, and in my work I'm doing great. How I'm doing though is it just depends on the 15-minute mark, I think, per hour, and
I thought your answer would have been, it doesn't matter. Like for me, because on some level, when I think of you, right, and not that this is turning into some kind of like lift you up thing, but
you could lift me up. That'd be fun.
When I think of you, I think of somebody. Well, I think of somebody who's selfless in many ways. Selfless towards his students, selfless towards his family, selfless towards his study of Torah. It's like you have given yourself completely.
Yeah.
And so any of us who know you and who follow you do so, I think, more so for that than anything else, because there's this effervescent flow that you found.
Yeah.
Of wanting to understand it, of wanting to be more into it. Like I was just explaining this, and I don't mean to go off, but I was just explaining this as magic tricks, since I do magic.
Paul's a professional musician. Paul's a professional musician who's been on, the biggest shows and everything like that.
Stop it.
Go on.
Stop it. Not really. But I've done some things. But anyway, so what I was saying is that at first you learn how to do a magic trick, and you just learn the movement of it, how to make it disappear, for instance. And then over the years, you start to learn different techniques. And then after a while, it's not so much about the technique or the trick. but what you're doing to connect the audience to the communication that you're giving.
Right.
And so,
and there, that's the selfless. That's the selfless side, where you're just this medium of connectivity. You know what? Since Paul brought up the magic, I just got to tell you guys one quick amazing story. Is so where
is this the bike? Is this the bike story?
So Paul and some other head were in my van down in the desert because they had dropped my son, just one son or two sons, I don't know.
We had only one son with us at the time.
Avrami. So I was with Avrami, and I were dropped at the top of the mountains in an area near Madale Adumim, and we were riding down these desert mountains for a really long couple-hour ride, all the way down to the level of the Dead Sea. Paul and some other character, who was that guy? I don't remember. Oh, that was that.
I don't remember.
Was that Johnny with the long hair, that trippy dude? Was it?
Oh, what's his name? Yeah, and he's in New York, upstate New York, and he owns a glass company now that does glass for major businesses.
Like glass pipes?
No, glass pipes. No, like windows, like behind me, windows for businesses, and he's making really good money.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, his hair, right? You're talking about this kid that we cut the hair at your house.
Oh.
Remember, he used to be...
Yeah, Bernie. Yeah, Bernie's killing. Yeah. He's killing it right now.
He's great as a wife and kids and just...
Yeah, he made it, man. He's doing great.
Beautiful.
He should be blessed. Mm-hmm. So listen, Bernie and Paul they're the car that's going to pick us up at the bottom of the mountains, which is cool. You know, we're all psyched on that. Nothing like having a shuttle back up to Jerusalem. So check this out, though. We had all these technical difficulties, like lots of technical difficulties, and it got really pretty hairy at one point. And we couldn't reach them because we're in the middle of the desert. There's no cell towers out there. It's like a lunar landscape. But we did get just enough at one point to at least get a message across to them that they should meet us at the what do you call where the monks do their prayers? At the mosque of that's called Nabi Musa, the prophet Moses the prophet mosque, which is in the middle of the desert. Now, I did not mean drive up to the mosque. What I meant was park the car somewhere near the road, and we'll get there. But what are these guys, these knuckleheads who don't understand radical... doesn't understand radical Islam. Those two pull up my van right up this hill right outside the mosque. So we finally get there. And we're like, I think Shabbos was coming. I don't remember what was going on. And we finally get there. And we see my van up against the mosque. Now, Paul and Bernie look like they could have been Christian pilgrims or anything, you know. But me and my son are like full, you know, we're like, hi, you know, not Christian, you know. And we didn't, there was nothing we could do. So we just went up right next to the mosque as well. We kept on all our body armor, kept on our helmets. And we're putting the bikes in the car. I told my son, like, just keep on all your body armor. And we put our bikes in the car. And then my son happens to be one of these instinctual types. And he's highly, there's Aaron, you know of Rumi. So he's highly instinctual. And he gets, like, when he was a little kid, I used to take him with me to, like, purchase used things. And he would tell me what the guy lied about after. Meaning, before I purchased it, I would take my son out. I said, I'll be right back. I just got to take my son out for something. And then my son would be, well, he lied about where he bought it. He lied about how many hands have owned it. He told you the truth about this. He told you the truth about that it never had any accidents. And he told you the truth about, you know, and he literally has a whole list all in his head of exactly what the guy told the truth about, what he lied about, and with a final advice whether to buy it or not. And he would be 5 years old, 6 years old. He used to ride the bus. You ever seen those guys playing cards in the back of the bus? Taking, you know, $5 a pop, or they got something under the cups, you know, and they got to move the cups around. So it would only take them a few minutes. You know, this would be on the streets of Jerusalem where these guys are betting with people in some alley. So it'd only take a few minutes till they finally realize that everyone's listening to my 5-year-old son where the ball is underneath the cups. And after a while, the guy running the racket keeps losing and losing and losing. He's starting to look around. He starts to realize it's this 5-year-old kid's telling everyone where the ball is each time. Because he just, that's his sense. So check this out. He comes up to me and he says, Tati, he says, do you see all those Arabs behind that tree? I look over at all these Arabs behind the tree. He says, they're all armed with slingshots. They've been picking up rocks. They've got their slingshots behind their backs. They're all holding slingshots behind their backs right now. And now you should know these are not slingshots like little kid slingshots. These are the kind with the wrist brace and the full on, these are guns basically. And so what did I do? So the bikes are in the car, but now we're stuck because they're between us and the exit. And I tell Paul, I say, Paul, go over those guys and just start doing your magic. Just do your magic. And Paul goes out. Paul goes down there, and he's like bending spoons. Paul literally hold a spoon, and the spoon where you scoop the soup just goes like, it'll just like, oh, he's bringing spoons now to show us. Here, so I got to show everyone on Facebook how he does this. Let me pin your video up there. How do I unpin? Oh, unpin video. So Paul's going to show us how he does this. Anyway, so Paul's bending spoons for these guys, and these guys are blown away. I mean, these people are they're like desert dwellers, They're not like normally dealing with these. They don't get like professional, like international level magicians. So he's got them totally mesmerized. We get in the car. And we start driving out. We keep the sliding door of my van open for Paul to jump in because they all got slingshots. I mean, they're ready to fire. And then even when we get next to Paul, he's like, "Wait, one more," because he can't give enough magic. He's like, "One more." And okay, Paul, you're on. I pinned your video.
Once I get started. Okay, cool. But it's very simple. Basically, you see, there's a fork. No big deal. You can actually take the fork and you can make it.
Oh, wait, you just froze. Oh, there you go.
Look like it.
Yeah. No, you're good now.
Oh, sorry.
You're good now.
It got really weak. It can actually fall apart. That's weird, right? But if you do it right, you can actually make it look like it comes back together. It's just a little different when it does.
Thank you.
Let's see. I do get these in bulk. They're not like magic forks or anything. I see. There's plastic on there and everything. I get these in bulk, so it's not like they're made to bend or anything like that. These are bought at Smart and Final, Sam's Club, Costco. The one-stop shops where you buy everything. So they are real. So I don't want you to think they're fake. All you have to do is just rub them, and it starts to look like it's bending. See, like the little bend. But if you blow on it, it goes right back to normal. Back to normal. You do it a bunch of different ways. You can actually just make it go like this. It looks like it's bent. You can even do it where you put it back to normal and go like this. You just blow on it, and it looks like it's twisting. And you can do a bunch of, you can blow it this way, watch. You can blow on it that way as well. It doesn't matter. And it's always the same fork, no switching. Yeah, it's always right here. And you do it like this, and now it's all four. You can make it look like it's bending this way. Hold on. It's all messed up now, And then I usually give it to somebody as a little present, and they have like a little thing that they get to. Let's see if you can see this. Yeah, a little thing that they get to keep, a little memory, something like that.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you. So let's get back to questions and answers. Anyway, but Paul did jump in the van, and we drove out of there like a bat out of hell. Yeah, and we were saved. We
My
were
questions would
saved
be,
from our ambush.
Sorry. My question would be one that my friend V. Lifshitz asked in the Facebook. He said, "How do we get Jews to go to Israel? What can be done
To get Jews to go to Israel?
Yeah.
I imagine that the right way to go would be to perhaps buy them here. I would invest a ton of money. I think the Israeli government needs to. It would be smart for the Israeli government to create faces for that would be the face they would want to be part of. Like, for example, the Israeli government loves to kind of flaunt the liberal kind of secular life here, that you can come here and like live your dreams, that, why do whatever the hell you want in Berkeley when you can do it right there in Tel Aviv. But there are a lot of Jews who see Israel more traditionally, like as a beacon of light in a moral cesspool of the world. And so I think the Israeli government would be doing justice to promote that, meaning saying, you want to run a tattoo parlor in Tel Aviv, go ahead, but you want to live in a community where up is up and down is down, and there's actually some things make sense around here. So that we offer that as well, so to show the different faces of Israel and make sure people know that what they want is here. I really think money talks. I think people can be bribed. So there are billionaires. For example, someone who gives a lot towards political stuff is who's the Las Vegas hotel owner, Sheldon Adelson. Sheldon Adelson, he's a multi-billionaire, and if he just dropped $1 billion in incentives, literally cash incentives to move to Israel, I think a lot of people. I mean, Paul, would you consider moving back here for $20,000?
I would.
You would? $20,000? How about you, Darren? Darren, would you move here for $20,000 cash?
I'd move to Israel for less. Book me a ticket. I'll come and worry about it, pal.
So, but I would say, I don't think Darren necessarily would. I don't know about Paul or, but let's say $50,000. $50,000 cash to make Aliyah. So what would be what's 50,000? Anyone got a calculator to do 50,000 into a billion? Chesky, can you do is someone got an available calculator? 50 billion divided by how many zeros is a billion? That's it's 1,000 million. It's 1,000 million. It's 10 zeros. I think so. So, 1 billion divided by 50,000. How many people made Aliyah for that? Anyone know? I mean, and that's very generous. $50,000. You can start a small business with 50,000 in Israel, at least. No one's doing the math for me. And everyone's on their phones using this, so they.
Isn't it 200,000? Is it 200,000 shekels? If it's 4 to 1.
It's no, not the shekels. I'm asking how many. You know what? I got a calculator here. I could probably just do it real quick. Here, that'd be cool for $1 billion. And there's more than him as far as Jewish billionaires who believe that people should be living here. So I think money would talk. I think a lot of young people, if they would receive $50,000 when they arrived. Don't forget education and medicine socialized. So that's on the house, So that's going to be a no-brainer.
For me, it was really hard to survive in Israel. Just trying to do magic, obviously. Even knowing all of the best magicians in Israel, it was hard to get a gig or whatever. There was already 20-something magicians in Israel that are some of the best in the world.
Yeah, so Israel, making it in Israel means having, for creative types like you, it means multiple jobs. Yeah, I think I have probably 5 streams of money to be at zero, every month. But I choose that, meaning I want to live my life direct drive with God, which is a subject that I'll bring up. Maybe that'll be an interesting subject to you all, is that if you have no money saved, so then you're in a relationship with God that's called direct drive. And having a direct drive relationship with God is where lots of magical stuff happens in your life. Now, I know from a Western perspective, that's just downright irresponsible to be living that way. But if you're in the no money save mode, you're in a direct drive relationship with God. And you're nice and close to the bone all the time, and you live with what's called LSD all the time, which is large siyata deshmaya. LSD, large siyata deshmaya, which means that you're having a large amount of divine providence. Siyata deshmaya means divine providence. And again, it's cool having Paul here, because Paul could tell you about this better than anybody. I mean, this guy goes on adventures, and will like publicize his adventure on Facebook. You did homeless for a while. Yeah, didn't you do that?
I've done homeless many times.
But you did it. Like you went and did it.
Well, yeah, there was a couple times, 2 times that I did it really viciously against myself for some reason. I guess it was challenges. They're kind of like just weird challenges. One of them was 30 days in New York, starting from zero. Literally living in a box the first night was what I did. And I woke up the next morning. I did magic on Times Square. I made just enough money to have food, everything I needed, and then save a little. And then I went to sleep every night underneath the Angel at the 59th Street Circle, where there's waterfalls on the inside of it, but then there's an angel looking down only on one side. And I had a tarp that I had in my backpack, plus my clothes was in a magic store that I could go grab my clothes and switch it out. And then I would take the dirty clothes and take it to a washateria.
Okay, that's a little too much. That's a little too much detail for Ask Rabbi Yom Tov.
Sorry.
But Paul, my question is, that's living really close to the bone. Did you notice divine providence in that month, your relationship with God beyond anything ever?
Constant. And yeah, to not be long-winded again, I live by this idea of faith-based life. I've always told you that. Like I have this other stupid idea that I've come up with recently, which is to make a farce of Buddhism, and it's a cow. And they got it wrong. Instead of Om, it's Moo. Because I am a cow and I am sated. Like a cow doesn't have to think about eating. It just goes to the grass and eats. It doesn't have to wonder where the grass is going to come from. It just eats. And so therefore it just is. It doesn't need to struggle for some kind of thing to just get, it's already there. You just need to learn to accept it, accept the moment, accept the happiness of the gratitude of what you're experiencing in the moment of now. And the more you can do that, the more that you don't have to worry about what's coming. And without allowing your ego, the flesh of you, if you will, to be the directional force, but instead allow what is around you to kind of guide you into what you're supposed to be with the things that you are seeing and the communication you're trying to give to people.
Yeah, that was extremely but that was extremely articulate, and I think it made. I was watching the faces of the people listening to you speak, and there was a certain maybe even jealousy of that comes from the disappointment of being trained otherwise, where you are wondering where it's coming from, and you're wondering where it's going to come from, and that eclipses your experience of God in your life because of that. Because wondering where it's coming from is already a lack of faith, and a lack of faith is a feeling of isolation, and so there's there's just something very, very special. Now in the end, someone who's spending their whole life with great financial security would look at me or you as like idiots, or we're like, I don't know, we're like vagabonds, or I don't know what they would say about us. But in the end,
jealous of us.
in the end, your life is made up of its minutes, hours, days, and the fullness that is experienced by someone who has let go of the future security for the immediate cleaving to the maker of the grass itself. That means the days of your life were spent super full. Like, that's super full experience of life. And so in the end, the person with the security doesn't have that.
On the street, sorry, I don't know if living homeless on the street, being broke and never having money is super full. But I do understand what you're saying. But on the other side of things, no, it's a massive place of learning to be from the streets, if you will. Especially when at 30 something you get to meet you and live with you almost basically for a year. While I'm at Aish, and I'm basically up your butt for a year. I mean, I'm like, I'm following you everywhere you go. You're taking me to classes you don't want to take me to on Thursday nights to go see your Rebbe. Remember the one you took me to when we saw the light come out of from his third eye into the light bulb? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Man, that was the trippiest night of my life.
You must have studied for too many hours.
Can I tell them the story of when you Houdini'd from the seminar?
Oh yeah, of course, please.
Yeah. So as you all know, I've been running personal growth seminars now for 20 years, I guess. When I worked in hypnosis for many years, and then I gave it up for seminars because I'm such a people person. Like, one-on-one, I'd put people in hypnosis and I would fall asleep. So I created these seminars around 2001. And anyway, what happens in the seminars, the only way it works is the way life works, is you have to go all in. Like, you only really get to the power of life, the magic of life, the miracles of life. Come to think of it, I think Darren also was a runner at one point. Darren, didn't you try to run at one point? That's trip that I have two runners in front of me right now.
No. Yom Tov, I went AWOL for a week. I spent 4 days in darkness and AWOL for 3 days in the old city. And it crescendoed with you standing in front of me after me putting my fist through a metal door.
Oh my God. Your story's so much better than mine.
Anyway, but we got you back, though.
I was also. Oh, you certainly did, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, what happens is
I'm not totally back, by the way, but I've qualified, I think.
Anyway, your camera went off, by the way. So listen, so what happens is the only way to really get your growth in life is you have to be all in, and so the way the seminar works is we all make a pact. Every participant in the seminar makes a pact that they are going to begin and complete the seminar. They will not leave during it. But once they're in, and they're committed to being in, and I know they're not leaving, so now I get to go full court press. You know what that is in basketball, where instead of the defense waits for them to come over the half court line, they go all the way to the other team's end and already start playing the defense there. So it's full court press. In the seminar, why? Because they're not going anywhere. Someone's got noise in the background. Can you find it and mute it? So I got it. I did it. So anyway, we play full court press, and now I can push like it's like pushing a pimple. It's gonna pop, and I can push, and break them through that growth that they need to get by pushing hard enough without an exit. Because when you ain't got no exit, so you're gonna have to pop. And we use it as popcorn kernels, not pimples. So it means that the popcorn kernel's gonna pop, and it's gonna be something fluffy and light and arm in arm. Yeah, you ever notice when you open the pot from popcorn, they're all hugging and stuff? It's like a big Kumsitz, you know. Whereas you put the kernels in, they're all like touching on the least surface possible. It's like an El Al plane flying economy. Everyone's like this, wondering who gets the armrest, you know. But by the end of the seminar, it's like, it wouldn't go over well during the coronavirus. It'd be germs everywhere. So I'm thinking how I'm going to have to do it, by the way, post-corona, because of all the touchy-feely parts of the program, because those are definitely going to be out, at least during the social distancing. So anyway, but I haven't run one in 4 months. In 19 years, that hasn't happened. I've been running them all online. This week is a women's one. Gentlemen, next week is a men's one. Highly suggest you get there. And there's usually a couple wealthy dudes in there who will help you pay for it if you want to. It's only $250 anyway. And I think I have an early bird $30 discount on Fridays. My memory serves me, you know, it's my staff who does all these things. And also, since you're all here, is just to let you know again that I'm creating other seminars, and I've got one called Desire. Yeah, Desire, Capture the Fire. And that starts this coming Sunday. And I'm looking for someone, by the way, preferably in Israel, who works in social media marketing to help me market that one. I don't want to be marketing myself. That's not responsible. So anyway, so what happens though is the seminar participants, sometimes we get a runner. Now, a runner is, we call it a runner. We make it like real culty. A runner is, it's only a week, the seminar. But a runner is someone who you know, they take off. Like, okay, I gave my word, but, you know, my word is, you know, turd, and I'm leaving. And so they go. Now, what happened was Paul was a runner, but there's runners and there's runners. What do you do when your runner is a professional magician? Meaning that guy can make himself disappear like that. You know, it's like, what do you do when your runner is a magician? And like a, you know, like world-class magician. Like, what do you do? So I had an answer. What do you do? I'll tell you what you do. You put plants. You get the whole seminar. So what we do is the whole seminar go after the runner. But in this particular case, I didn't even have time to go to get the group together. I already knew he was running. To get the group together to go after the runner. So what I did was I placed plants all over the old city. And if anyone was to see Paul, they were to send me immediately a text message or a phone call and tell me where he's been spotted. And I was just going to work like as a dispatcher until we could finally find him. And I think that point, the seminar was no longer in the old city. It was in the Nachlaot, where I live, literally out the window, literally the place I'm looking at out this window over here, and in a hall right here. And anyway, someone cites him. He gets cited. Now, only Paul could tell this part of the story because I don't remember. He was like running from building to building around the old city. He knew that people were on to him. Right, Paul? Is that what happened? You can take over from here, Paul. You've got to unmute your mic, though. Yeah.
I think they caught me in the very end, inside of Aish. I think is where I was. I think I was getting a coffee. A couple guys just walked up and they're like, "Bro, what are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" You know, they're like, "Yeah, you know, you're supposed to be at the thing." And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go back. and then there was a couple more guys. I think we were on the stairs. I don't remember, man, but they ended up basically, there were so many of them. I couldn't go anywhere else. And
didn't they physically take you back?
I think they had to pick me up, yeah, because I didn't want to go. But yeah,
So
yeah.
I'll take over from there. So anyway, what happened in the end is he gets to the seminar, and I did what once in a while I have to do this with somebody, depending on their background. And this was particularly heavy. But I determined that this was the time to do this. Now, this is a time-consuming thing. You usually don't have time to do this in a group, but I will do it sometimes because it's just worth it. And what I did was I realized that this man needs to be held. And what we did was we got the whole group together, the biggest guys, strongest guys in the middle with their arms, holding each other's arms like that, across. And we laid Paul across everyone's arms with the whole group surrounding him, supporting him, cradling him. And then everyone else of the group on chairs overlooking, so their heads are over him. And and then I'm holding his head and leading him through what's called a rebirth. And he cried and cried and cried and cried. And just completely let it go and let us all hold him. Paul, you have any comments on that experience?
And this is sadness upon myself, not upon you in any way, shape, or form. It's the sadness that I didn't, in some way, or I still haven't, in some way, completed my journey. We're asking these questions about where are we at, where are the Jews at in America? Are they going to be able to get out? Are they stuck? And then the whole time I'm asking myself the same questions, right? So am I stuck? Am I, in my 2 times being there, did I not give enough? Because you question yourself, yeah? Because everybody always says, oh, when you first get to Israel, it's hard. But then after a while, if you stay with everything, you'll find a groove somewhere. I didn't find a groove either way, both the religious way or the Tel Aviv party way, if you will. Although the whole time I was there, I was really doing ceremonial things with the Amazonian Jewish people that I met. But that's a totally different story. And so I have always been on a journey for spiritual understanding or connection. And
I wanted you to share.
To answer your question, hold on. One last thing. To answer your question from earlier, there's 2 ways to get to this place that we're looking for. This place of understanding, wisdom, concept, whatever. And that is, one way is direct path, right? Straight through the Sefer bottom to the top. And the other way is this serpent path, which comes as a circle, and you see this in the doctor's thing with the stick and the it's a very idea of the person who sways back and forth in life and the person who gets there very directly. And in that direct path, you have to have a lot of concentration, discipline, so much that structure. I don't have structure. Yeah, I don't have it. I never have in that sense. And so I learned my way. Right. Is it the right way? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Is it a way? Yeah. But as they say, there's many ways, but there's only one true way, right? And so
what was your what was it like to be held? What was it like to be doing that rebirth?
The whole experience. This is why I say it's sad to me, because the whole experience was very much a release, a feeling of being okay in that situation, where in other times in my life, something that was somewhat close to that would have been very different and felt different and was, and so it was a release for me. It was this place, and also because of where I was at the time in Aish, and being in that place where now I have, friends of mine who are, rabbis in LA, rabbis in here, and they all turned into rabbis, which is so amazing, Mm-hmm. So many from my class.
Okay. Listen, I think I lost track of time totally. Does anyone know the minutes right now? Let me check the minutes. We are at, we're over time.
19.
Yeah. So, does anyone have a quick question for I can take one last question if someone wants to ask one. This has been quite an experience, this session, and I really appreciate Paul sharing so much. Thank you, Paul, for doing that.
My pleasure. Pleasure to see you, man.
Yeah, likewise. Someone have, we can end it here. It's fine. We're at the end of the hour. I have an appointment now anyway. So, Everybody, you know what I'll do? I'll just comment on flow and structure real quick, because I'm like Paul. I'm a flow meister, and I owe so much of my structure through marriage. You know, that that has had a big impact on my overall capacity to be effective on a long-term level. Was mixing my flow with my wife's structure was a very, very helpful thing for me. Another thing that I would say that was really important for me in structure was my steadfast commitment to halacha was probably the biggest stabilizing factor. Way outdoes my wife. That has probably been one of the biggest stabilizing factors. I had gotten to the point in my search in life that my sanity depended on a structure, and the structure had to be real, or I would have preferred insanity. Meaning I was so flow. I'm so flow. Paul and I like really get each other big time. So I was so flow, but that my moorings that were all uprooted. I had nothing holding me in at all. And discovering God and Torah, and I mean literally two separately. God as far as meaning in life, Torah as far as structure. Meaning Torah is a divine document, because I would have rather been insane than be part of some religion. You know, the last thing I wanted was religion. And I still, to this day, consider myself as a non-religious person. I am an observant Jew, not a religious person. Okay, when I meet a Reformed Jew who, whatever, lights Hanukkah candles, I call that religious. Okay, I am an observant Jew. Maybe if you want to ask another day, I can explain what I mean by that. But but that structure, the divine, it had to be divine based. Again, I would have taken my insane life over a fake structure. But the fact that it was a real structure was how I could forge ahead with that level of flow. And that's basically how I was able to be effective ultimately in my life, as opposed to just, playing guitar in street corners and stuff, and helping everyone have a great time wherever I was, which is what I still do most of the time. So everyone always had a great time, except I had to go to bed that night and kind of face the next day. And anyway, but that was an absolute lifesaver for me. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for tonight. We're doing this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, Thursdays. Love to you, love to everyone, and blessings. And you can send your pictures. You can send your questions to Ask Rabbi Yom Tov. And please click on all the stuff you're supposed to click on wherever you're watching this, whether it's follow, or subscribe hit the bell for indicators that I'm online, or that share. Please share it, and please join my next seminar, Desire. Capture the Fire. Shalom, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye, Paul.